Hi guys, welcome to Aranda. I hope you have a wonderful time during this week, and you can understand how we live in this part of the world, and also understand how our people and our landscape are. And I want to explain some ideas that we had in the past with this process. The name of the conference is Observe, Systematize, and Project. I think there are three actions that work together. Well, I met Joshua a few years ago, and during this time, we have put main idea together in order to generate respect for the local landscape and architecture. Of course, the project that joined us is El Terreno, in which we have worked really hard during this time. I think in summary, I think we seek to rescue the rural architecture located on the boundaries of the cities, which have lost a lot of value cause of the development. There are many houses abandoned on the area. I think we have the chance to reintegrate to the landscape and try to work with these objects. I think it's important try to understand the context where we are located. We are almost 250 kilometers from Quito, in the middle of highlands, surrounded by many mountains and volcanoes. Guaranda is the capital of the province of Bolívar. And this province is amazing because we have a lot of ecological floors. And it also is a province that has almost 200 Indian communities. So it's we have a lot of culture inside of this province. So in this map, we can see the distance between Quito and Guaranda and how we are these close relationships with mountains, with volcanoes, with lakes. And during this time, since I had the chance to travel a lot of times between Quito and Guaranda, and for me it's really important try to understand the relationship between architecture and landscape. In all these trips, I have found a lot of information that sometimes we don't want to see, but I think it's the moment to appreciate this information. For example, we have new topographies, we have objects, we have patterns, we have colors, abandoned structures, post-industrial places, and I have created this visual atlas in order to understand better the architecture, the relationship between architecture and landscape. If we talk about Atandawa, well, Atandawa is a small community. I think it's maybe 8 minutes from Guanujo. Guanujo is a small town on the road to Quito. And first of all, I think it's important that the first step that we make in this process is trying to recognize the territory. So where is Atandawa? Where is El Terreno? Where was the Gina's house, the place where you are working you will be working this 2 weeks. And for us, it was really important to try to discover the different abandoned houses that we have in this area. So exactly as Gina's houses, there's maybe than 30 or 50 more cases of study. So we want to begin this project with Gina's houses. So as I told you, it's really important in this first step of the process, try to recognize the territory. We develop a lot of maps like that when you were kids, and try, because it's important to understand the relationship between the object architectonic and with the landscape, the different roads that join neighbors, and try to understand where are the mountains, where are the Chimborazo, where is the sun, where is the sunset, which is the relationship between the town and the house, how we can walk around the house, and which elements we can find in all this process. Also, it's really important to try to recognize the local architecture, because it's as I told you, in this process, we want to rescue these objects that are abandoned on the landscape. And it's really important for us trying to understand how people used to build in the past. So, for example, one pattern that is really important is the ramp earth, for example, as you can see as in the Gina's house, for example. But the ramp earth is the solution of the space, but also the solution for the structure. And ramp earth, if we mix ramp earth and wood, well, we have the complete house. And the photo of the left side of the screen was the initial photo of the El Terreno. And as you can see, the walls were built with the ramp earth called tapial, and all the skeleton, the wood skeleton, was put in over the house. Also, in this first part of the process, I think it's really important try to observe what information we can get of the land, what information we can get of the old house, of the landscape. For example, we have a lot of instruments, tools, all tools that were covered from on the earth. Also, we can find patterns, sketches that people used to draw on the walls, a lot of colors and different textures. Sometimes this information is located in the landscape, but sometimes we are not able to discover this information. And I think it's really important in this part of the design, trying to have a lot of elements, a lot of ingredients to develop a really fluid design process. If we talk about the design process, I think it's important to try to connect the problems that we have between context, concept, and content. When I talk about content, I am talking about needs. What needs provides the client to architects? Okay, and for example, also it's important. Understand how is the house. For example, this house has a really simple configuration. And one more time, the ramp earth, that is the thing of the house, but also the skeleton of the house, the structure of the house. But also we can find spaces. For example, the port, that is this exterior space that is connect maybe the house between with the landscape, with the landscape. And also we can find the different materials that people used to use in the past. For example, stone, the wood, another time around there the tiles in the roof. And this photo was when we went with Bart. Bart was the guy the volunteer guy who was working with us in this process, and we are trying to discover a lot of pathologies that the architecture, this drawing provide us. In this photo is the I think it's interesting to understand the close relationship between the house and the land. But in this case, the house gives its back to the crops. We can find this small window that is the place where we can connect the interior space with the landscape. Also, we found some walls, some destroyed walls that we can use in the future. As I told you, are ingredients that the house provide us in order to plan the future of the house. Also, these trees are important for us because maybe we can create a close relationship between the nature and the house, or trying to open windows to connect with the landscape. And I think this is the part that you were working today, and I will explain you. I think it's really important to try to understand the internal space, because we are going to work there. You are working there, and we found a lot of problems. For example, we found that we don't have enough light. The space is really cold during the night, and maybe we must find some solutions in order to create comfort in these spaces. We have some categories that we want to follow in this case of study. For example, the relationship between light and darkness, the height in the second floor is not comfortable. We don't have a fire space, and in this house is really important if you provide fire, because fire will warm all the space. We don't have a kitchen, we don't have a bathroom, for example. We also must work with the memory of the materials, because if the house give this memory, I think as architects we must try to respect these ancestral ways of build. And also a big problem is the money, resources, and how could we make a really friendly project in the landscape with no money at the final. So this is the matrix that in which we want to, we want to understand the project. I think it's really important to understand the house like a system in which landscape, materiality, structure, weather conditions, resources, relationship between up and down, inside and outside work together. So we must all the time think in all these points in order to create a system, in order to create a responsible project. So we have challenges, we have concepts. For example, think about the snake furniture. We must think about the kitchen, how we can relate the kitchen with between interior with interior space. We must think about the light and thermal comfort. How these new parts of the house are part of the landscape and also are part of the old house. And like a challenge, a big challenge, try to think the future. How could this house, how could grow in this house in the future? Some drawings strategies in which we are trying to explain all our ideas because we work a lot of with dreams, with fantasies, and in some point we must make real these ideas. But at the beginning, these kind of drawings help us to understand better the process. For example, how could we make furniture that is completely related with space? So we must design the furniture and try to adapt in the internal space. And for example, is the living room, how could we sit down? How could we find a chill place for being relaxing? And how could we connect with the kitchen? All this part of this process. In the second floor, for example, is the main space for sleeping in the future, when we don't have bedrooms, and we don't want to understand the typical idea of rooms, because we are sharing a big space between people. So we must find another solutions that break some rules of architecture, you know. And in the second floor is the big possibility to put light, and this light would connect the two floors, and it's what you are doing today. What you are going to do this week. Open the roof and try to put light inside of the space. And in the photos you can see how is the original space, and the right side is kind of the dream, how we could sleep in this space only with curtains and with the light, like special ingredient in the space. This is a really big challenge. How could we put a kitchen in this old house? We don't want to create a really a new monster. So I think it's a really important part of the house, this new element, and how we are going to join these two objects. The day we were walking around the area, we found, for example, these old houses, and we can see how people used to join new elements, and how could, for example, the green area or the crops being part of the roof. So as a conclusion, we are trying to work with these ideas, with the common sense of the people. As a result, well, maybe the kitchen is part of the landscape. It's related with the interior space. We must find solutions or structural solutions in order to join these two elements. And this drawing try to put all the ideas that we want to make in the future. Try to open the roof, connect light between the second and the first floor. A new bathroom outside of the house, because if you analyze the houses in rural areas, the bathroom and sometimes the kitchen are not part of the internal space, are disconnect of the main space of the house. So maybe the bathroom is not related with the house, We don't know exactly now. Right now, we are working on this, and also the kitchen maybe could be part of the project. We are working on this. We don't have the finished project, to be honest. Well, part of the process, we work also with models, because I think it's really important. Try to have a really close relationship with materials, in this case with ground earth. So we must work with hands all the time. And how could we connect the reality with fiction? The drawings, models that are in some point are fiction or fantasies, and how we are able to make this idea part of the reality. As I told you, we are working on this project. The project has an evolution. Maybe the new roof is more simple, it's not really complicated because of the economy also. And because I think we must work with a lot of honesty. Sometimes the form will be not the most important thing in architecture in this case, and we must find the best solutions in order to respect landscape, but also in order to give to our client needs. Well, this is a simulation. It's not the finished work. As I told you, I'm working in the project, but that's a simulation that Bart helped us to create in order to explain the project. You can see the new part of the house and how the nature is part of the roof. And the last step is trying to represent the information, try to make really technical information in order to understand the technical process, in order to understand the parts of the architecture, the different elements that are. It's like a toy. Architecture is like a toy where you have a lot of elements that must join together in order to create a system. So here you can see what you will work on this week, for example. This hall to integrate the two floors, and this hall also will help us to have more light inside the space. In the future, we will put fire. Maybe it's not the it's not the main intervention in the project, but we are sure that we need fire in this house because at night it could be really cold. As a conclusion, and I think. After these 2 weeks, I think you will be able to recognize a lot of elements that landscape provide you, and I think you must analyze all the different elements that are present in the context. For example, the wood in this element would help us to create a new system for walls, for example. And I think we must calibrate our view in order to understand better the reality. And of course, I think after these 2 weeks, you will be able to understand the conditions of our ancestral architecture, try to understand the different conditions of Earth, because with earth you can have the tapial, adobe, it's like a brick, and how's the process to cook the earth, you know. So the earth could provide you a lot of systems, a lot of architectural systems, and that's what we are seeking, and we are trying to rescue with this program. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies, and how this guy tried to observe, analyze, systematize, yeah, and the reality, and how are you able to transform this reality. That's all. I think if you have questions about the process or what I was talking about, please tell me.
Thank you, Sebastián. So I hope that gives you a better idea from more of an intellectual design point of view of what you're working on. Does anyone have any questions? Yep.
You mentioned that there's a hole in the roof. Is that going to be covered by glass, or how's that, like a belt sort of?
No escucho bien, amigo.
It's okay. I can repeat because I'm closest to the microphone. So she's saying there's the hole in the roof that you mentioned to let light down into the ground floor. Can you explain how that works? Will there be glass on top?
Okay. Yeah. You mean this part, I think, okay? Yeah, yes. We are opening a hole. Also, I think we are taking some example of the reality in the house. There are holes in the house, so we are trying to repeat these holes in all this line of the roof, you know. And we are going to join. I don't know how to say, Joshua, translúcido with the tiles, with tiles. Translucid,
it's like yeah, a plastic rather than glass. Transparent plastic.
Yeah, it's like it's the new element that is not glass. It's a kind of glass, just for saying. And this is the element that connect light with the space.
Sorry? Is that just for lighting? It's just for lighting. So we're going to take, along that back wall where we were working today at the start, we're going to put the glass or this plastic all the way along that ridge, and then we're going to take 3 of the floorboards out so that the light can go all the way down to the ground floor.
Yeah. I don't have a better drawing to show you, but if you see, if you see this small window, we're trying to repeat this idea on all this part of the house, okay, in the roof, but also in this part of the roof yeah. Here is the hole. We have here the sun, and we want to connect light between spaces, you know, and that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Of course, we will have a structure here, and also we will have a structure here. The wood is here. Yeah. You will here, and you cannot work here because it's a hole. Okay. I don't know if it's clear.
Yeah. I think everyone understands now. So sorry, you were talking about
type of plastic would you use, because some plastics are not good insulator.
Yeah. So they're asking if the translúcido is a good insulator.
Maybe it's not the best option, but it's as I told you, we must talk, we must think about resources. So maybe in the future we hope change this material with glass or try to find another solution. But at the moment, house needs light, and in the future we will have a chimney, a fireplace.
Yeah, it's a really important point working here. So Gina's family actually doesn't have the money for the build that we're doing. So I'm actually lending them, El Terreno is lending them the money for the materials, of which when there's people who are coming to stay there, they'll pay that back. So we need to think about costs at the beginning. And when we get it to a certain level, and when we get to having tourists, which we can charge more money for than we can for volunteers and interns, then we can look to make further improvements.
Like a set budget then?
Not a set budget, but we've got a range which we're working in. Yeah. So I reckon for the part that you're doing, like without the extension, it's probably going to cost between $2,000 to $4,000 in materials.
Do you pay the people that work on the roof as well?
That's why you guys are here. Part is making that possible, is employing local people. Otherwise, yeah, it's really difficult to do. Yeah.
You said it would be like renting it out, because I thought you said it was for the family that lived there.
Well, it's going to still belong to the family. And so essentially the family rents out. I mean, the family could potentially still use it in future if they want to, but in the short term, so that they can pay back the money that we're lending them. But I mean, the goal, they would like to use it for tourists because they have their own house. And if they could do that, then that could be a form of income that they don't have at the moment. So it could mean that they've got a reason to stay here rather than having to move away.
Room for expansion.
Exactly. Exactly. Any other questions?
Something about the kitchen being outside or something.
He talked about sometimes the kitchens. Well, Sebastian, maybe you can speak to this. You said that some kitchens traditionally are outside the houses. Can you explain more?
Yeah. Where was? Well, it's not a rule. It's not a rule. Maybe it's in some cases we appreciate this this situation that the kitchen is not related with the main space of the house, and they are an extension on in the outside. Yeah. And we are for example, in this case, we found that kitchen was not in the part of the house, and also in El Terreno, Joshua's house, also the kitchen was not a part from the interior. It's really it's interesting. I think it's a new way of think about this ancestral space and how we could recognize, because there are a lot of the walls are black because of the when they are cooked. I mean how do you say humo, Joshua? Sorry, humo.
Smoke.
No.
Smoke.
Yeah, all the smoke paint the wall. So that's the way how we recognize where was the kitchen. And the Gina's house, the kitchen was exactly in this part. So we are trying, here was the kitchen originally. So we are trying to put the kitchen where it was, and trying to connect with this part of the house, because if you are living right now in Atandao or in the Casa Comunal, the relationship between rooms and kitchen is not a close relationship. And for volunteers at night, it's terrible going to the kitchen because at night it's really cold. So I think we think that's really important, try to generate a really close relationship between the living room and the kitchen. And yeah, I think this new part of course, the new element is, and we want to study a lot this part because we think this new little monster must be part of the landscape also. So we are studying this new element. We have models. We are speculating a lot in the form, the angle of this element, and how in the future we could have, for example, crops here or just a green area in order to put the roof in the landscape.
Does that make sense?
¿Sí entiende? They understand it, guys. I'm sorry, sometimes I
So yeah, the last thing was going to have a green roof. You know about green roofs? So you've got plants growing on top of the roof. Yeah. Just painting it green. Any other questions?
Did you say all these properties are going to be open sideways?
Yes, eventually, yeah. Okay, well, so Sebastian's going to be joining us in person on Friday. So he's going to be he can explain more about this, the project that we're building on El Terreno and the other houses in the area. So you can learn a little bit more in person. And then he's going to do a workshop for you on some design skills. So you can develop some of your own design skills on Friday afternoon. So I think if there's nothing else, thank you very much, Sebastian, for joining us and for sharing this presentation.
Okay, see you on Friday. ¿Se cortó, Joshua? I don't know.
Yeah, sí, que todos te dieron un aplauso y están muy felices.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Entonces nos vemos el día viernes. Yo estoy por acá en Guaranda el día viernes. See you on Friday.
See you Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.